Welcome to The Explainer. You know, family transitions, things like divorce or custody disputes. Let's be honest, they can be some of the toughest challenges we ever go through in life. So today, we're going to dive into the world of family law and hopefully give you a clear map for navigating these really sensitive issues.
And that just hits the nail on the head, right? These aren't just legal cases. We're talking about your kids, your home, your financial future, everything. The weight of it all, emotionally and practically, can feel incredibly heavy. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by it all, that is completely and totally understandable.
That's the real question, isn't it? So our goal here in this explainer is to help you swap that feeling of confusion for a sense of confidence, just by showing you there's a clear path forward. Let's start with why getting guidance from the very beginning is so critical. When you're up against these kinds of decisions, the sheer complexity of it can be paralyzing. And without someone experienced in your corner, it is so easy to make missteps. And those little missteps can lead to big delays, a ton of confusion, and maybe even outcomes that just don't line up with what you truly want for yourself and for your family long term. So what does a family law attorney really do? I can tell you it's about so much more than just filing paperwork. You should think of them as your guide, your strategic partner, and yeah, your trusted advisor through this entire journey. And this slide really highlights the partnership at the heart of it all. See, it all starts with your concerns, your goals. From there, a real professional listens to what you need and then builds a strategy that's tailored specifically to your situation. Their job is to represent your best interests every single step of the way. You know, a true advocate never, ever uses a one-size-fits-all approach. That just doesn't work here. Their whole role is to give you strategic but also compassionate counsel. It's all designed to help you make informed decisions, giving you that clarity and control when you need it most.
Okay, let's move on and see how this whole thing breaks down. I know family law can seem like this huge, daunting list of legal jargon, but we can actually organize it into two main categories, and that makes it so much easier to understand.
Just thinking about it this way, children on one side, divorce and finances on the other, it really helps demystify the entire field. It gives us a really clear framework for figuring out what needs to be taken care of. So this first area, this first bucket, it all centers on the well-being of the kids. Of course, it includes the topics we all know, like custody and child support, but it also gets into specific things like establishing paternity for parents who aren't married, or defining grandparents' rights, which that allows grandparents to seek visitation in some cases. But in every single one of these, the main goal is to create stability and prioritize what's best for the child.
Now, the second bucket handles the legal and financial side of the separation. This is where you find the divorce itself, alimony, dividing up property, all that. It also includes really important legal tools like a modification, which is basically just asking a court to change an order later on, or contempt, which is what happens when one person doesn't follow an existing order. Okay, this next part is vital, and it might relieve a lot of your anxiety. When you hear family law, you might immediately picture some awful high-conflict courtroom battle. But I'm telling you, it does not have to be that reality. And this points to a much more hopeful path forward. With the right support and the right strategy, there are collaborative options that can keep you completely out of the courtroom. And one of the most powerful tools for this is mediation. Mediation puts you back in the driver's seat. Seriously, instead of a judge making the final decisions, you and the other party, you work together with a neutral guide to create your own agreement. This process often leads to resolutions that are way more satisfying and actually last, all while saving you time, money, and a whole lot of emotional stress. So let's bring this all together. We've talked about how complex this all is, and the different paths you can take to get to a resolution. So why is having experienced strategic guidance just so incredibly valuable in this field? You know, experience in family law isn't just about the number of years. Think about it. A decade in this field means an advocate has probably seen and navigated thousands of unique family situations. That kind of deep knowledge can be absolutely invaluable when you're facing your own challenge. And behind every single case is a human story. Guiding thousands of families creates this deep well of understanding. not just of the legal system, but of the very real human side of these challenges. And that's the kind of experience that turns into effective and compassionate guidance.
Sometimes a successful outcome means fighting for your rights in a really difficult case, where the stakes are sky high. This quote from Rebecca is a perfect example of that, where the right advocate made all the difference in getting through a tough situation to a positive result. But then again, a successful outcome can also look like this. Jessica's experience, it just perfectly highlights the power of that more collaborative path. She used mediation to find a peaceful resolution and avoided all that conflict. Both of these are wins. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. Seeking guidance is not a sign of weakness, it's a proactive step toward empowerment. It's about giving yourself the tools to get through a difficult time with strength, with confidence, and with some genuine peace of mind for you and your family.
So we'll close with this question. Just let it sit with you for a second. As you think about your own situation, what does that brighter, more stable future actually look like for you? Taking a moment to define that for yourself, well, that's the very first and maybe the most important step on the path forward.